So there's a new movie coming out called Together. Now, I know what you're thinking. Aw, is it a rom-com? A quirky indie drama about people rediscovering love while making artisan bread in the countryside? Oh no, my friend. This is a buddy horror film. That's right. Romance meets grossed out Cronenbergian nightmares in what's shaping up to be the weirdest date night movie of 2025. You thought moving to the countryside meant fresh air and goats? Well, Together says, nah. What about supernatural terror and physical disintegration? Because nothing says couple therapy like slowly losing your humanity together. Yes, in case you're wondering, Together is a love story. In the same way The Fly is a love story, except instead of Jeff Goldblum turning into a giant insect, we've got Dave Franco and Alison Brie slowly unraveling like a pair of human fruit roll-ups. That's the premise. A couple moves to the countryside for that Pinterest core peace and quiet life and ends up involved in some freaky supernatural incident that changes their relationship, their existence, and let's not forget, their actual bodies. Think Hereditary meets The Notebook, if both leads were molting skin and questioning their humanity by the third act. James Franco stars as Tim, and his real-life wife, Alison Brie, plays Millie, which honestly makes the whole relationship spiral extra juicy, because now we get to watch the two actual married people slowly descend into madness and physical horror on the screen. It's like Mr. and Mrs. Smith, but instead of espionage, it's body melting. Also in the cast is Damon Herriman, aka Creepy Charles Manson from Mindhunter and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, so you know things are gonna get unsettling. Mia Morrissey, Jack Kenny, Carl Richmond, and Sonny S. Walia round up the supporting cast. Bonus points to Melanie Betty and Tom Considine as Mr. and Mrs. Wilson, who I assume are the kind of neighbors who show up with a casserole and leave with trauma. The man behind the madness? Michael Shanks. No, not the Stargate SG-1 guy. This is a different Michael Shanks, making his directorial debut like he's been bottling up disturbing ideas his whole life and finally said, yeah, let's do all of them in one film. Not only did he direct Together, but he also wrote it, which in horror terms usually means the movie's gonna have vision. Whether that vision involves emotional devastation or a mutated flesh tree, TBD. Either way, it's impressive for a first-timer. We're talking bold swings here. First movie and he goes for body horror meets romantic tragedy? Most people just do found-footage ghost flick and call it a day. Together has got some indie heavy hitters. 30 West, Tango Entertainment, and Picture Start, who helped produce and finance it, which basically means it'll have that clean, artsy vibe while also making you physically uncomfortable like, wow, this scene is beautifully shot. Wait, is that an eyeball growing on his shoulder? Classic indie horror vibes. Honestly, it makes sense that Shanks found his footing with studios that say yes to weird stuff. This movie doesn't sound like anything else hitting the theaters this year, and that alone earns it points. The film had its big debut at this year's Sundance Film Festival, premiering in the midnight section on January 26, which is basically the horror nerd version of Cannes. After that, apparently the word of mouth was so strong it set off a full-on distribution bidding war. And get this, Neon swooped in with a cool $17 million to grab worldwide rights, making it the first big sale of Sundance 2025. That's not pocket change for a freaky love story with body horror. Neon's now lined up an August 1 theatrical release, and if you haven't seen the teaser trailer yet, it's basically one long, slow WTF building to a skin-crawling climax that will make you question your own anatomy. So, what about the box office and critics? Well, this one's not going to do Super Mario Bros. Numbers, unless Chris Pratt shows up halfway through with a flamethrower, which honestly would be a twist. But for a niche horror film with buzzy stars and a big Sundance sale, Together could do really well. If Neon markets this right, focus on the twisted romance, the nightmarish visuals, and maybe even lean into the real-life married couple in a toxic horror spiral, you're looking to get a Get Out-sized sleeper hit. Maybe $50 to $70 million worldwide with a strong push from horror fans, indie nerds, and Brie Franco stans. What? Don't look at me like that. It could actually pull it off. Critically, it's already off to a killer start. Rotten Tomatoes shows 100% positive reviews from 46 critics at the point of this video. Yes, 100%, with an average rating of 7.9 over 10. Even Metacritic, which is like the grumpy uncle of review sites, gave it 76. That's generally favorable. But for horror? That's basically a standing ovation. Reviewers are calling it visceral and emotionally raw, and one critic described it as marriage counseling if David Cronenberg was the therapist. I'd watch that movie too, to be honest. Behind the scenes, the vibes on set were reportedly intense. I mean, imagine trying to film a deeply emotional scene while someone's gluing prosthetic tumors to your neck. That's acting, baby. Franco and Brie apparently worked with a physical performance coach to capture the gradual breakdown of their humanity, which sounds like something you say to win an Oscar, but also just kinda rad. Also, fun fact, some of the practical effects were designed by the same team behind The Invisible Man from 2020. So expect that creepy, tactile, skin-peeling realness horror. No CGI blobs here. This is the oozing latex era, folks. Did you know that Michael Shanks originally wrote Together as a short film idea during quarantine? But when he pitched it to Picture Start, they were like, "This is insane. We love it." Also, Franco and Brie insisted on doing all their own transformation sequences. That's right, every contortion, every scream, every oozing eye socket, that's marital commitment. We also found that Neon paid $17 million based on a single screening at that Sundance, making it the most expensive indie horror acquisition of the year. So, bottom line, Together is looking like one of the most unique, disturbing, and emotionally engaging horror films of 2025. If you're into twisted love stories, practical effects, or just watching Dave Franco's jaw unhinged like a snake, seriously, that happens. This one is to watch. Plus, it's a rare buddy horror movie where the real question isn't what are we becoming, but can we survive each other? So, are you hyped for Together? Are you horrified? Are you both? Let me know in the comments. And remember, if your romantic weekend getaway starts with hallucinations and ends in spontaneous body mutations, maybe just stick to a staycation next time. Until next time, you go watch yourself a great movie. Peace.